Well, hey, everybody, it's Friday night, and I am grateful that you've joined me on tonight. And we're just going to have a talk tonight. I want to talk to you tonight for just a few minutes, but again, I'm so excited to have you with me and joining me on tonight, wherever you're viewing from, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. Thank you so much for joining. Please do me a favor if it's your first time ever seeing me on this screen. It's your first time ever joining me on Friday night. Please let me know and just say first time, or let me know that you've been here before. Some of you I'm familiar with and you've been here before. If you're here, please do a favor. This for me, even if you incognito. You know, a lot of people watch and they never say anything. Never say anything and make any comments, but they give themselves away. But if you've been watching it incognito and you don't want nobody to know you're watching, especially me, please do me a favor and do this for me. That's right. Like, share, make comments, and do that. And we're grateful. Those that have joined us tonight, thank you so much. I see you as you have come in. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being a part tonight. I'm going to get right into this. And on Friday nights, we do this talking. Sometimes we talk about ministry. Then other times we talk about things that just pertain to life. And I think tonight this is something that will be a blessing to many of you as you're watching and viewing tonight. So do me a favor if you're here. If you know a pastor, somebody in ministry, either a family member, whoever, please, by all means, share this tonight and share it with them, because I believe it'll be a blessing to them. I want to talk to you tonight as you've seen the what I would guess is the promo for this. Everything you need is in your house. And so I want to talk about that tonight. I want to share that with you, that everything you need is in the house. And we'll use that word house interchangeable tonight with a lot of different things, but I put it on there as far as this about the house. I want to share with you that tonight, something that I believe is vital, not only for ministry, but for our everyday lives, whatever level we may be on, whatever area we may be on in life. I believe it's vital for all of us. A lot of times we are so busy, and I'm not going to be long with this, but a lot of times we're so busy being impressed by what goes on outside of our house, our church, our ministries, what is going on the outside or the borders of our lives. In other words, sometimes we're so impressed by things that are happening outside and happening in other places. And the reason not so, sometimes we're impressed by it because either we're trying to imitate what we see, or we are busy always talking about other things that are happening outside of our house, outside of our lives, outside. Sometimes we are talking and giving more conversations about people down the street or around the corner, or even as pastors, we're talking about churches more or less way across town that don't have anything to do with where we are, but we are somehow impressed by what we see. And so that impression upon us and those things that we're looking at, we're very impressed by it. And if we'll be honest tonight, many times we're very impressed, which means we are impressed by a lot of things we see outside. Usually we're looking at some things, but we're not looking at them close up. We're seeing things from a distance. It's like people that see people's marriages or see people's churches. Sometimes you think people got it going on, but that's because you're looking from a distance. You're not watching close up. There's a distance and you see things. And so from your perspective, it seems like everything is going good, but you take a different point of view when you get to see things close up or when you get to see behind the scenes. That's why I've heard people say, you know, I was doing good And I heard someone say this the other day, told me this about an individual that they said I was better before I really met them. And I asked them what did they mean by that. They said, well, I would have rather kept my impression of what I thought about them before I met them and actually found out how they really were and what they really were about. And so a lot of times when we see things, we're looking at it from a point that we're impressed, but we're impressed from a distance. We don't see things right there face up. We're looking from a distance, way back, and we're watching things. But when you get behind the scene and start watching things, I've said to you many times when they pulled me in to do the movie with Bishop Carlton Pearson's come Sunday, up until that point, I'd always thought in my mind that would be something I want to do and be a actor. But once I had to make that early call to be there, and we stayed all day. We did take a break for lunch, but we were there all day and stuff like that. Then I started recognizing and realizing this is not a lifestyle that I would want. It pays good money and you get a lot of attention, but that's not something I would want to do for a career. I would want to do that every day. I would want to be like that. So once I got behind the scene view of it, once I actually got to see what it was like, then I said to myself, okay, I'm gonna keep watching them, but I'm not impressed like I was to make a career change. I'm not impressed to make a career change to run and make a movie because there's a lot involved in that. So a lot of times we're impressed by what we see. We're impressed by the things, and we haven't really seen it behind the scene. Therefore, when we reach out for things, we think that may be good for us and successful looking with others. And sometimes we'll grab things and try it ourselves and try to do it ourselves and see if it works. If it works for that individual, we'll bring it and say, certainly it'll work for me. But sometimes what we don't get and what we don't understand is that is our impressions. We have been impressed by these things. And I can't stress that enough, that we are impressionable people. This is why, and I've said this for many years, this is why they have what they call, when they do commercials. Have you ever wondered why they have so many commercials on TV? Why there's so many commercials back-to-back commercials? You're thinking it's just for advertising, and it is. But years ago, when I studied marketing they talk about commercials that only last, you don't have to take my word, count it. A commercial lasts maybe 30 seconds to 60 seconds. And in the marketing field, they call them the 60-second subduction. And what they mean by that is they use that as a means and as a way to seduce people to buy things. There are a lot of things that we buy, and even they do it on our kids. There are a lot of things we buy. We don't buy them because we need them. We don't even buy them because we know they work. But they have put that thing, because they know we're impressionable people, they have put that thing in such a way that we will go and buy stuff. There's some people, you go to the store, they won't buy anything unless it's name brand. No off-brand, nothing. Everything has to be name brand. And what you find out, if you really find out, I remember we found this out in Detroit. We were buying some suits years ago with my uncle, and one of the young men at the church said, I'm gonna take you out to the suit warehouse. So we're thinking, okay, but what he took us where was not just a suit warehouse, he took us to the place that manufactures suits. And when we walked into there, we were in amazement because there were suits everywhere. I mean, just all the suits, any kind of suit you wanted, it was there. And then they told us something that really blew our minds. And what was that? All the suits that were in there, they had made the suits, and then they had little labels. And they would take the labels and put them inside the suit pocket, inside the inside lining, and sew it in. And all of these labels went to different stores. I won't name the stores, but they went to different stores. And what we discovered that day is everyone was bragging about their suits, but a lot of those suits were made in the same place. The only thing that made them valuable was the tag they put inside of it. Suit was made at the same place, but the tag made it valuable to wherever it was going to. And so sometimes we're very impressionable. And I talked about that 60-second seduction. I've often said some people use dial soap. It's not because they think dial soap is better, but that commercial got us years ago. Aren't you glad to use dial? And don't you wish everybody did? When they do, sometimes when cook things look like for Thanksgiving, you'll go out and buy a turkey, and it never comes out that way. It be cooked, but it ain't brown like that because they didn't even cook it. They got it and fixed it, and then sometimes they may have cooked it enough to make it look like it's done, and sometimes they take brown stainer and put it on the turkey to get that golden brown look and shoot a video or shoot a film or take a picture. And so you can go and buy it. So they know that we are impressionable people. So they do a lot of things to impress us. A lot of things we do, we have to admit, we buy them. I can't tell you over the years, I'm a little more wiser now, but I can't tell you over the years how many things I've stopped just buying just because it looks good. The infomercials and stuff that I just don't do it because most times you get the stuff and when you get it, it never does what they say it does. It just don't do it. And so you have to do it. So what do you mean by everything I need is in the house? I'm talking about impressions, but years ago, I was sitting in my office at church one day during the week and I received a phone call from a prophet from Alabama. And he said to me, I did not call you to ask about coming to preach at your church. He said, I was sitting here and the Lord told me to call you and give you this word. I said, all right. So this is what he said. He says, the Lord said to tell you that everything you need is already in your church. And I paused and listened. He said, everything you need is already in your church. And I was like, okay. Now, I have to admit to you, I'm going to be very transparent. When he said everything you need is already in your church, I started thinking about what was in my church, who was in my church, and started thinking about everything he had just said. And I was like, in my mind, I was saying, you know what, I think he's good, but he may have missed it this time. So I'm not going to dismiss the word, but I'm just going to wait around and see if it's something that happened. So I just sort of waited around, and then he said again, I said, the Lord said, everything you need now, everything you need is already in your church. So I'm sitting there and you get that kind of words. You don't want to be disrespectful to God and act like God don't know what he's talking about. And so I'm like, okay, now let me give you a picture of what was in my church already. And when I said we're going to use the word house interchangeable with a thing. So church is one of the things, and we'll use it with business and other stuff. When I looked at what was there in my house, my son was playing the drums, okay? My daughter was taking pictures. Brother Jerry, the media person, he was, I think he was filming something or taping something. His wife, Sister Tawana, was doing the tape ministry. She was over the tape ministry. She was doing tape ministry. So think about it. My son playing the drums. My daughter was taking pictures and doing, matter of fact, she was doing video. She videotaped the first service I had after I was appointed there. So she was doing the video. Then you had Brother Jerry. Then you had Sister Tawana over the tape ministry. And so we were bringing in musicians to help with the services and paying them weekly. And they had no dedication to our church. They were there basically for whatever we could give to them, the salary or the money, whatever. And they could book at any time. So that's what was going on. And so a lot of things we were bringing in as I wouldn't say outsourcing, but we bring insourcing, I guess, bringing people in to do various things and to do ministry and those things. And we were using people from the outside. And of course, they didn't have no problem because they getting some money for it. and they knew, okay, they sort of need us to make their services work and stuff work. So they weren't complaining at all. So we were doing that. But now I want you to understand, remember the word that the Lord gave us. And he said through the prophet, everything you need is in your church right now. Again, I go back. I didn't see that. I mean, it was a word, but I didn't see it. So what that has to give us to understand is sometimes, even as the preachers, we get a word and don't necessarily mean we were like, okay, if you say so. So this is what happened. Watch this. So let's see how it turned out from hearing that word that everything you need is already in your church. Thinking that I need to bring more people in, go out and find some people, even recruit some people to do what I think we need to do in ministry. All right. So here we go. Let's fast forward and let's see what happens. Here's what we got. So now it turned out from that day to this one, watch what we got. Well, we were paying musicians to come in and all of that. My son at the time was only playing the drums, but now for several years, he is now the musician, our keyboard player, the MD as they would call it, over our music. Why? Because the Lord said everything you need is already in your church. He was in our church at the time I got that word, that we were paying other people to be musicians. What happened? Well, one watch night, the musician didn't come, said he couldn't make it. My son had been tinkling on the keyboards a little bit, but he had really never played in the service. So I said to him, you have to play the keyboards tonight. He said, Dad, I can't play it. I can't do that. Not for no service. I said, yes, you can. He said, I don't know the song they're going to sing. I said, but whatever you know, that's what they're going to sing. He got on the keyboards that watch night, and that began where he is now. But remember, the Lord said everything you need is already in your church. Sitting right there all the time, right there in the church. All right. My daughter was taking pictures at the time and doing some videos. All right. So now she's a worship leader. She's a worship leader on Sundays. And she's the president of the youth department working with the youth. At the time, she was just taking pictures. She wasn't doing praise service. She wasn't doing any of that. But the Lord said, everything you need is already in your church. I want you to get this tonight. Sometimes we just got to take a pause, because sometimes what we're looking for is right there in front of us. God said it's already in your church. Well, what happened? Brother Jerry, over our media ministry now, and does a great job, and he edits stuff for us and does our promos sometimes, and he's involved in media ministry. Well, what happened? Well, one day, Brother Jerry decided he said, Pastor, can I videotape the service? I said, yes. And he videotaped the service. And when he videotaped the service, he let me take it home. During that time, show you how far back it was, we were using VHS tapes. And I took it home, and not only was the picture good, the sound was excellent. So what happened? We started taping every Sunday. We weren't doing TV or nothing. But because he was already in our church, when the Lord gave that word, it started what you see on Sundays. We started taping our services every Sunday. We moved from that and went on to, we went on TV in the city, on AIB, and then we went on, I think it was not BET, it was Black, the movie that's out where Jamie Foxx plays attorney Willie Gary. He had bought, him and a couple of people had invested into a TV station, and it was nationwide. And we were on that station for about a year, nationwide, every week. And then now we're streaming All of that is a part of what God said back in that day I was sitting in that office. Everything you need is already in your church. And so to think I needed to go out and look outside to find it, God knew it was there all the time. All right. Then Brother Jerry's wife, Sister Tawana, she was doing our tape ministry. She was doing, back in that day, we didn't have CDs and DVDs. She was doing the cassette tapes, labeling them and making sure they were cataloged in case I needed to use them for radio, in case people needed to buy it. But now she's not doing tape ministry. She is the business administrator. The business administrator at our church takes care of all the business. But she started out in the tape ministry and sort of fell into taking care of the business of the church simply because someone else was going somewhere else and doing something else, get ready to leave and go to another place, and we needed to find somebody to do it, and not knowing that she had that talent because she worked, I think at the time doing the bank or something, was right there all the time, and she was doing the tape ministry, but she had the talent and the gift to do other things, and it was right there, and the Lord knew, and he had to tell me, everything you need is already in your church. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Had not he told me that, who knows what I would have done. All right? So I want to say this tonight as I close. We've got to take a second look at what we've already got in our house, what we've got in our church, what we've got in our ministries. We need to take inventory and look around and see who may be in there that's already in place to do the stuff that you need to get done. We're so busy trying to get other people in that we're going to miss somebody that's sitting right in front of us. I told you, I think it was either this year or the latter part of last year, that the Lord told me on a Saturday night. It was a Saturday night, never forget it. And I was getting ready to pack my camera up and everything, so we take pictures every Sunday. And was getting ready to take, and the Lord said, give your granddaughter Madison, and at that time she was 10, give your granddaughter Madison the camera and let her take pictures tomorrow. I never thought about that. So I did that. She started taking pictures, and she started evolving and getting good at it. And now she's better, and she gets better every time. Now she's 11 years old, and Brother Jerry used to do the video and to take that, but that was a relief from him. Now she's able to take pictures, and he can concentrate on the video part. Why are you saying this, Pastor Martin? I'm saying this because sometimes right in front of us, we're trying to go out and get somebody, and sometimes people are sitting right in front of us, and all they need to do is be discovered or given an opportunity to exercise their talents and their gifts. Sometimes we don't allow people to exercise their talents and their gifts. Certainly, when you do that, you have to train them and teach them, and sometimes even when they do stuff, they may make an error or a mistake on it. But that is something that will happen. All of us have been there where we were given an opportunity, we were given a chance, and everything sometimes you need. And I'm not just talking about in church, even in your own house, or even if you own a business or whatever. Some things, some people got that thing and they're able to do stuff, and we do not give that opportunity. And sometimes we find out by error that they had that ability. Sometimes you find it when they go somewhere else and other people utilize them, and you be like, I didn't know you could do that, because we never gave them an opportunity. Some people can sing. You don't even know they got a voice to sing. Some people, they may not be a person that could be in the spotlight, but some people, they got good clerical skills, administrative skills. They can do stuff behind the scene. They can help you out with stuff that you'll be surprised they can help you with. Some of the young people in our church, they not just a computer for no reason. Some of the stuff that we trying to do ourselves, some of the stuff that we trying to get done. Some of the stuff that we, I'm sort of into electronics and computers and stuff, but everyone's not. Even in your own house, you ain't got to go out and hire nobody and take no class. Pull your grandkids in and people, they can help you do some stuff. You'll be surprised. They probably can help you do some layouts and stuff you need to do and put some things in place. They right there in front of you. You ain't got to go out and pay people all this money when these folk are right in front of you. Everything you need is already in your house. It's in front of you, and all you got to do is utilize it and give people an opportunity to do it. And so start thinking about that. Everything you need is right there in front of you. What you gonna do with it? What you gonna do about it? And I'm gonna close with this. Sometimes we're so busy looking at other people's yards and their treasures, talents, and gifts that we don't even recognize the ones we got in our own house. I want y'all to hear me tonight. Sometimes we got people that can do stuff just as good as others, but we don't recognize them. We don't put them to use. And I say this in a way, I say it in our local churches. Come on. Sometimes, and I say house, in our homes, in our local churches, sometimes we will go outside and pull some other folk in that don't have no kind of commitment to our churches and get them to do stuff. And we got people that are committed and we never give them an opportunity. Same thing in jurisdictions. We got people that have been with us years and show their loyalty and commitment, and we will go and pull somebody off somewhere else and bring them in and use them, put them in prominent positions and spots, and won't utilize the people that we got right there in front of us. We do it in the national church. We will take people that people that's been with us for years that they could retire and get to go watch. That's been with us for years, loyal, faithful, got a blind loyalty, and we won't even use them. But we'll go get people, and don't y'all get upset, we'll go get people from other reformations, other churches, and preach them, and won't preach our own folk. Not in no prime spots. And won't use them, use everyone else as though they got greater information, a greater anointing, or a greater message than we do. We don't use our own. We've got enough in our own houses to do the things we need to do, and we don't use them. That's why sometimes people get mad with different people and upset. Well, they use family, or they use this. I think, and I'm not just talking about church. I'm talking about in business. If they good and they can handle it, don't neglect the people in your house that's doing business. That just cause they're your relatives, if they can do it and they're good at it, you use them. Same thing about church or whatever. Don't let people talk you out. I'll just use them. Hey, if some of this stuff ain't got nothing to do with his family, whether it's friends, or what, it has to do with what they can do. But I am a strong believer that we shouldn't keep going outside. And I'm not just talking about church, so y'all won't get offended. I know how some people can be, they get offended and touchy. And it's not so much they get touchy and offended. They get offended by who's saying it, not so much by what is said. Because some people, if certain people say it, it's like, that's right. Then if certain people said it, you throw it off. Get a life, okay? Get a life. So think about that, I'm a firm believer that we should be using people that, whether it's in our house or whatever, that are dedicated. I'm not saying don't use anybody else, but I'm saying people that have shown their dedication and loyalty and things, and they are qualified to do the job. We should be using them. We should be using them. We should not let their talent, skill, and ability go to waste. Shouldn't do it. should not do it. Let it go to waste, and then uh, I'll say this. I'm gonna say it, and then when people have gotten enough and they just decided, well, I'm gonna go somewhere else and do something else somewhere else. Then we want to talk about them and say they wrong and everything. But think about it. You're not using them. What obligation do they have to stay to a place and they got a gift, a talent, and an anointing and not be used? What sense does that make? What sense does it make? None. Now, a lot of people are scared to say what I'm saying, but I'm okay. I'm just telling you the truth. Everything we need is in our house, but we don't do that. And we need to pay attention to those around us. I start paying attention I start paying more attention to those that go to my church, that are part of the ministry, what they can do. Sometimes I've discovered hidden talents right there in that building. And had not you given them an opportunity or a chance, you wouldn't even know it's there. They can do stuff that you're like, whoa. We've got to do more to develop. We're so impressed with other folk from the outside that we don't pay attention to people inside. And I know it's okay. Sometimes you're not received right where you are, and I got that. But you got to understand, as leaders and other people, we've got to do better. That we don't fall into that same trap in not utilizing people that's got talent, skill, and ability, got gifts. They're great treasures. They're hidden sometimes. And what happens, and I'm going to be done when I say this because it's true. What happens is, sometimes when I say we, I'm talking about all of us. Sometimes we don't recognize them because they are among us. They are part of us. We don't recognize them. We act like they don't exist. We ignore them altogether. All right? But then somebody else comes along and recognizes their talents and gifts and start using them. Then we want to get upset because they decided to as LeBron James did when he said, "I'm taking my skills to South Beach," when he went to the Miami Heat. When they decide to take their skills somewhere else, or their anointing and talent, then we want you out the will of God. Could it be? Okay, here it goes. Are they out of the will of God? Or are we out of the will of God by not using them in the first place? Or are we out of the will of God by being either petty or being whatever we want to call it? Could it be we're out? They may be in, we may be out. Because we are the leaders and we're supposed to have more insight into the gifts and talents that are around us. We're supposed to be able to see talents and gifts in people that they don't see in themselves. Okay. I'm going to say that one more time, then I'm going to get out of here for real. We're supposed to be able to see the talents and gifts in people around us and among us that they don't see in themselves. We're supposed to see that. Sometimes we don't. And we don't recognize. We're so busy looking at who can I bring in to do this? And sometimes people sitting right there in front of us. And we won't use them. All right, I'm through, y'all. Do me a favor, like and share. I pray you got some out of this tonight. Those of you that are watching, those of you that will watch incognito. I know. If you're watching incognito, it's okay. It's all right. I got you. But I pray you got some out of this. And remember, everything you need is in your house. It's in your church. It's in your business. It's right there. Ask God to give you to be able to discern those around you and in front of you, those that He has invested in, and now all they need is someone to give them that opportunity to do ministry. All right. Well, the Lord bless you tonight. The Lord keep you. Thank you for joining me on this evening. It was a blessing having you with us. And I pray that you would have a wonderful weekend this week. Let's continue to pray for our government. Let's continue to pray for our world, Israel, and those that are in this war. Let's pray. And then just pray for people in general. Let's pray for one another as we're entering into a season, of course, October, and then November and December. We're right on the home stretch of the end of the year, and these last couple of months. So let's love each other, pray for one another, and keep lifting one another up. Those of you that can join me Sunday morning, join me at 10 a.m. We're going to have a powerful service. I'm going to be ministering the Lord's will, a powerful word, and I look forward to you being with us. If you want to connect with me, please do this. Type the word DLM to 833-675-6263. That's the letters DLM to 833-675-6263, so you can get notified, and also you'll be able to get a link that will give you to be able to see all of our social media platforms wherever we may be online. All right. Well, the Lord bless you and the Lord keep you is my prayer. Thank you so much for joining me. And just remember that everything you need is already in your house.